Tellio there, champs, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be reviewing the much touted iPhone 7 Plus. So this is the iPhone 7 Plus, which I think is the better iPhone model. It has more features than the iPhone 7 and it has a better battery life, better camera, and even though it is the same camera, you get the dual lens, and it has the better screen. Now, back in the day when I had an iPhone, the iPhone was the best phone you could get, bar none. It had the best screen, the best design, the best everything. Fast forward now to 216 and I could actually talk more about So anyway, what was I saying? I can probably talk more about what this phone hasn't got than what I can talk about what it has got that's better than every other phone. Now, that wasn't the case in the past. So what you don't have is you don't have wireless charging, you don't have a 2K screen, you don't have an OLED screen, you don't have an SD card option, and you don't have a dual SIM option too, and there's probably other things I've left out there. But that's not what Apple's about. Apple's about doing a refined, simple product, and they don't chuck everything into it, and you've got to respect them for that. So just get through the specs. This is a 5.5 inch screen, LED, has 401 pixels per inch. It's 1080p screen. You can get 32, 128 and 256 gigabyte models. It's 188 grams, IP67 waterproof rating there. So that's good to see that they've added a bit of water resistance to the phone, because a lot of Android phones have that now. And it has a blazing fast A10 CPU. This CPU is super fast. I'll get to that later. And this model here is 3 gigabytes of RAM compared to the 2 gigabytes on the iPhone 7. This is just a better phone than the iPhone 7. I know a lot of people might like the smaller version, but it's their best phone is the iPhone 7 Plus. So basically those specs are, they're up there. This phone is probably the fastest phone out at the moment, and of course there are new phones on the horizon, like the Pixel's coming out soon. And the reality is, it's been years since I've really thought I need a faster phone or I need more RAM in my phone, because pretty much since they introduced quad-core processors and 2 to 3 gigs RAM, the phones have always been fast enough for me in the flagship models there. Alright, some of the lower end models are a bit slow and sluggish, but as far as specs go, this is probably up there as the fastest phone out there at the moment. And Apple don't use the generic Snapdragons and Exynos and Kirin processors. They actually use their own sort of in-house designed chip, so it is really tailored to this operating system, and it does fly. This is super fluid, this phone. You will have no complaints how fast it is, how fast apps open, how fast games open, and etc. It really is a super fast phone. Now, its design is beautiful. It is gorgeous, except for that. It just looks like it's put there as an afterthought. That camera hump is very ugly. And also the bezels, if you have a look at the bezels, they are a bit big compared to other phones, and the chin and forehead. But other than those things, it is a gorgeous phone, built to the highest standard. Are there other phones built better? Yes, I think the Galaxy line is better design, and it's a more brave design, if you would say, because Apple think they're brave for getting rid of the headphone jack. But how this is designed, it's designed to be a seamless phone. So if you run your fingers around it, it is seamless. So it's very hard to distinguish the front from the back. It's meant to be just a seamless slab. So in that sense, the design is gorgeous, seamless. The rounded edges on this make it so slippery. I guarantee you're going to drop this phone. So the display on this is awesome. I really love this display. Now, a lot of people go on about it not being OLED and it's not 2K. Well, although I would like if it was 2K, just to get that extra sharpness and crispness. I don't care that it's not OLED. It's an LED screen, and I must be the only person on the planet that actually prefers an LED screen over an OLED screen. Now, if you look at this screen side by side next to a Samsung Galaxy S7, 9 out of 10 people just go, oh, the Galaxy's much better, it's much sharper, it's much brighter, and it's more colourful. And that is true. But this thing is much more colour accurate in my eyes. The Samsung screens are, I know you can fiddle with the settings and change things, but for me, I just like the colours on this much better. They're much more natural, and I have nothing bad to say about this display other than it's not 2K. Sound is not that great. Let's have a listen. It's $799 US, which is It sounds okay. It's nothing fantastic. It's nothing like the old boom sound HTC used to have. But it's decent enough, and as you can see, it's pretty loud too. Now, battery life. This is another place where Apple excel. This has great battery life, all-day battery life on this. Now, the iPhone 7 is not as good as this in regards to battery life. You have to get the 7 Plus if you want the great battery life, but you'll find it hard to find an Android phone that has better battery life than this. All day, no problems, medium to heavy use there. There are, of course, Android phones with 4,000 milliamp batteries that can last 2 days and so on, but none of the real flagship Android phones have that batteries. So this has pretty much got better battery life than all the Android flagship. So along with the display, that's another thing I really love about this phone. This camera is good. It's an awesome camera. It's not the best, of course. There are better cameras. Samsung, they reckon the new Pixel phone has a better camera. It has a 1.8 aperture, has OIS, and this model here, of course, has the 2 lenses there, or the 2 cameras there. So you get 2 times optical zoom, which is a great thing. I really think that is awesome. Now, eventually, Apple will release a bit of software which will enable you to get a phony depth of field sort of look to your photos. The thing is, Google have released this on their camera, and they use only 1 lens with their software, and okay, it's good, but it still looks fake. It's not as good as obviously real depth of field. Now, another thing I didn't note about the camera is it can shoot RAW now, so that is great. It's 4K as well, and apparently the lens here is sapphire. Now, I think I've seen on Jerry Rig Everything that he was able to scratch it below the sapphire threshold. I'm not sure 100% if it's the best grade of sapphire there, but it needs to be, because this thing is going to get scuffed up and scratched. I don't care if it's made out of sapphire or not. It collects dust. Every time I pick it up off a surface, you'll see a little bit of grit in it. It's going to get scratched, and also you can't lay the phone down like this and you get wobble in the phone there. Also, one of the things with the new iPhone 7 is you get the sort of force touch, or the new Taptic engine gives you the fake depression of the button there. Now, this is a great thing that they've removed the moving part. I had a MacBook Pro with force touch. It is a great thing. It's nice. It feels nice. You won't notice the difference in it unless you're told, but it's a good thing in my books. So unless you've been living under a rock, you know that they've removed the headphone jack and they give you this adapter here. I don't have a problem that much. I'm not going to go crazy as much as other people are about the removal of the headphone jack, but what I would say is, if you're going to remove the headphone jack, make it worth it. Absolute rubbish. They're sprouting that they're brave for removing it, and they're going to the wireless world and be able to fit so much more on the phone because they've removed it. Well, they still have a camera bump, so they can't fit that much in. But what they should have done is included a DAC, and then I would have been fine with it. So, for example, if you connected your headphones via the Lightning port, it would have a DAC in there, a digital to analog converter. So you would get much better high quality audio out of the phone. If they'd done that, I'll be fine with it, but they haven't done anything. All they've just removed is something that's very convenient for no gain. And if you're listening to compressed music and then you listen to it through Bluetooth, which again reduces the quality of the music compared to wired music, if you're really an audiophile, you're not going to want to do that sort of thing. You really want a wired connection. And if they included a DAC in there, I would be like, well done, Apple, you've done a great job. But they've just removed it because they want to sell accessories in my book. That's what I think anyway. As for OIS, yeah, well, it's still the same old grid of icons there that you can't move anywhere. Like, for example, I cannot move these icons down to the bottom if I wanted to move them there. I can move them right down to the bottom there in the bottom 4, but I have to have these icons up there. They won't allow me to put them above these 4 icons down here. So it's not very customizable. It's very limited compared to, say, Android, and I don't find it any easier to use. For example, if I go into settings here and then I just go to general and I click on accessibility there. Now, for example, if I want to get back out of this now, if I press the home button, it's going to take me to home. Now the only way I can get out of this is click on back here. But if you're using your phone one-handed, you can't put your thumb up there to go back. So that's why I don't like iOS, because I like a back button and I like it to be down the bottom where I can quickly just go back and I can use one hand. With this, there's no option to use one hand. If I press home, it goes to the home screen. But if I want to get back out of this, I have to use two hands or use hand gymnastics to get to it. So it's just a clunky operating system in my view. And that's my biggest problem with it. I had the iPhone 5S and really this isn't much different. Alright, they've got some new things in it. You got your whatever dashboard and notifications and you have your widgets here and so on. But still, at the core of this operating system, it's just a grid of icons and it's app in, app out. And Android is just a much more fluid, customizable and a more powerful operating system in my view, and I don't think that's ever going to change. So in conclusion, this is a great phone. It is one of the best phones on the market. There's no problems there. But is it the best phone? No, it's not the best in anything other than I think the fingerprint sensor is the fastest and best. Other than that, I cannot say this is better than any other phone in any other regard. And if you're an Apple phone user, you're just going to get this and you're not going to listen to any rubbish I sprout. But if you're on the fence and thinking about getting an Android phone or an iPhone, considering the price of this is just insane. It's like nearly $1,000 for this 128 gigabyte model. That's $1,000 US. Or in Australia, this actually costs $1,419, this model here, 128 gigabyte storage. So that price is insane, and I do not think it's worth that. I mean, if I was going to say what I think would be a fair price for this, and we know Apple is a Veblen good, so it doesn't conform to the normal market supply and demand and so on. But as a phone, I would say it's worth $600 US, and that's about $900 Australian, something like that. And I just think you can get better phones or a phone that's at least as good as this for half the price nearly. So I can't recommend it in that regard, but if you're an Apple person, just buy it. You're going to buy it anyway. So that's it. That's my review of the iPhone 7. Give me a thumbs up there if you enjoyed this video. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. I've got lots more tech content coming soon. And again, I'd really like to thank you for watching. And until next time, guys, tally ho.